Hello to the first episode of Handyman, Landlord. My name is Tatis, and I decided to start making those videos so I can share my story. For people that are working in a construction company, or they're construction workers or handymans, simple, and they work for somebody else, they have a boss. And for those people that they think it's impossible for them to build a foundation and actually be landlords for themselves so they can have a kind of passive income, let's say, that generates cash flow monthly, and they move from, let's say, being poor or barely making it to actually uh, be wealthier, let's put it that way. Um, then you can watch me and see what I have to say. So, my story starts like that. First of all, I was born and raised in Greece. Met my wife while I was 30 something years old in Greece, and then we moved here in South Carolina. Uh, I feel very lucky uh, moving here because we started obviously renting for somebody that owned duplexes in that specific area. I don't want to mention. And then I started learning, and also he gave me the opportunity to start working. So my first job really was to be a handyman. There was an opening into that job because somebody that was working under the crawl spaces had to leave and quit because he had a baby in another state. So I said, yes, I can do it. So that's how I started. People were asking me, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? And always my answer was, yes, I know. And I was pretty confident, even though I knew that I pretty much didn't know it. I knew that I was handy enough and smart enough to understand by observing other people, by watching YouTube videos, and of course, making mistakes. Fake it till you make it, as they say. And that mentality made me move forward in life. So I started going from cleaning up trash, working under the crawl spaces, eventually painting the houses, and then installing hardwood floors, installing windows, doors, doing electrical, doing plumbing, all kinds of things. Then I got into feeling more comfortable with a job. Now, I started with $12 an hour, which for me, it was an amazing salary. And I started working as an individual contractor, which means that yes, I had a boss, but it was not how you call that, a W-9 job. It was a 1099, which pretty much I was working for so many hours and I was getting paid for those hours that I worked with. That's all. Nothing else is involved. So eventually, when I was becoming better and better and better, and I was doing more and more things, inevitably my boss gave me some raises, and I was very, very happy. First of all, $12 an hour, that was 2016. It was a lot of money for me. We could afford the rent, which was $700 back then, not anymore, obviously. And also, we could just buy in a restaurant, do whatever else we wanted to. Now, my wife was working at a boat center, being on the yachting industry prior to us coming here to the United States. And most Greek people, usually they want to actually um, build a restaurant business pretty much and just create that. We're into more restaurant business, Greek people, and I didn't want to do that. So it was a great opportunity for me to start this kind of job, and also I learned a lot of things. And I was humble. I appreciated what I had, and life moved on. Now, one day, as I was scrolling on YouTube videos and researching pretty much, I came across a book, which I should rather say an audiobook, and that is Rich Dad Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki. And I don't really like to read books because I feel tired, really. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I can just try to read a book, and I've tried several times, but never finish it pretty much. But I realized that if I actually listen to an audiobook, that is much, much better. So that's what I did. And that book actually transformed my mind and changed my perspective 360 degrees as far as giving me the mentality that not only the rich people can do well, that everybody can do well if they have the right state of mind, the mentality that's needed uh, to actually become someone in this world. We live, at least in the West, Western side of the world, in capitalism. So here it's kind of like the stronger will survive and the weaker will perish. That's pretty much what it is. Now, in the Eastern side of the world, I do not know. We supposedly call ourselves that we live in a democracy, but that's a debate that I don't want to go through this video. So, being in a capitalist country, and the biggest one, United States, I thought, well, I have a chance. I might be able to do it. So the book gave me what I needed to start researching. And then eventually, when I started knowing a little bit about real estate, about the rules that a homeowner or somebody that rents his house or a unit can actually benefit from, then I'm thinking, well, that's wonderful. And I didn't know about those things. So I started eventually talking about those things with my boss back then, which he was actually coming twice a week. He was actually making sure that the manager is working. He was making sure that the workers are actually doing what they have to do. Even though he had the crew, he had the managers in place, he wanted to make sure that everybody's actually doing what they're doing. He doesn't trust a lot of people. And I started talking to him about stuff that I learned from that book. And that he got really surprised. And eventually, week after week, month after month, he became more friendly, let's put it that way, towards me, compared to other workers that were just strictly were doing their job. I was doing my job, was very good at what I was doing. I was asked for one thing and I was doing four or five things. And then eventually I got raise after raise after raise after raise, and I became a valuable member for his cycle. Let's put it that way. So um, one day, pretty much after a year, I and also researching after that book, because that book gave me a lot of incentives to research more and more and more, and gave me the mental strength that I'll be able to do it, and anyone really can do it. When I say do it, I mean to build a foundation and start building things for yourself, not only for the boss, but build things for yourself, so you, your inner circle, meaning your family, and can actually benefit from, not only your boss, and they can just get the paycheck and that's that. So I came up to the simple idea. I was like, why we're renting, which the rent was $700, and let's look for a house. I know how to do most things, so we can find, I was telling my wife, like a crappier house that needs a lot of work, cheaper, obviously. I'll do the job, the work, and then we can just move in. And then we're gonna have our own house, and then we don't have to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, and so forth and so on, instead of wasting the money. And that's what we did. We came into a suburban, let's put it that way, area, not in the center of the city, pretty much from where we kind of located back then, where we were renting. And then we found our house, which back then it was 64,000. Obviously, we didn't have that much cash at the time. We had a little less. We had the down payment, which was 20% down. And the house was depressing. It was big for our standards. It was 4 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, and it had almost an acre. So that was pretty good. Back then, we didn't have kids, so it was just me and my wife. Well, we were planning to have kids, so that seemed like a pretty good idea. Now, I could picture how I want to do the house, areas that I wanted to open, to break some walls, to make it more open space, put new windows, put new flooring, paint the house, put nice light fixtures, landscape, so forth and so on. But my wife, when she saw the mess and the house the way it was, she could not picture what I had picture in my head. So she couldn't trust me on that, but she had to because she was my wife, and pretty much I said this is a smart thing to do. So she went along with it, and what happened is that I was still working for my boss, and on the extra time after 5 o'clock, let's put it that way, or 6 o'clock, I was every pretty much day, if I wanted to, I was coming here at the house and I was uh, working myself. Also, Saturdays, I was doing that as well. So it took me 6 months. After 6 months, when my wife saw the house, was amazed. She said, "Wow, it's day and night." And then she started trusting me into the real estate mindset that I have kind of created back then, that I can do it. And guess what? Now, not only we have our house, we have a mortgage which it was 3 point something percent at the time, and it was for 15 years to pay off. The mortgage was $400, which was significantly less than the rent, which was 700 something. We had our own house, so that's absolute win. So after that, I said, okay, well, that's amazing. So that means after a little bit, I can, try to get some more money, and then we might be able to find our first rental. My boss at the time had 200 doors or apartments. And I'm thinking in my head, that's a lot. I wish I could do that one day. But I might start, buying a house every 5 years, or, how many we can afford, eventually pay them off all, and then move, buy another house and another house and another house. But I didn't have a plan. I was afraid of the banks. I didn't feel like I wanted to put myself into debt and pay a house for 30 years back at the time. So I was pretty scared, but also I wanted to do it on the other hand. So eventually, after I was driving after every day after work, I was checking Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, all this good stuff, and then I was just looking for houses, inexpensive houses that I will be able to put the job that I knew and start our first rental. And we came across a house that it was uh, actually 15 minutes far away from the house we're living on, and that was 26,500 back then, which is an amazing price. You cannot find that. It was not a nice, cute 2 bedroom, 1 bath brick house. And it had rotten floors, it was disgusting, and all kind of things. But I knew that I'll be able to transform it, which I did. And then eventually I turned it around and we put our first tenant. Now, I can go through that house, that deal, and then the next house, another deal, and another deal, and also the things that I've done in order to accomplish all of these things. And that's going to be probably the next video. But right now we have 18 houses and 30 something apartments. My boss eventually became my partner. and we partnered into buying multifamily apartments. And on the side, I'm buying with my wife single family homes. So that's what we're pretty much doing. Now I don't work by myself, but I also have workers work for me. And I still do the job. My wife is the manager. She's managing a lot of properties. And so I put her into that business. She left the job that she was working on, and she's doing that management. And we have 2 kids. And eventually, I want to grow myself to a point that I will step from working to actually managing our workers. But I'm into that transition at this point that I want to uh, show them what we can do, see how much we can scale, and then to start transitioning into managing the workers and see where we can go from there. But as far as the next deal and all the other deals, you can ask me any questions if you have, because all that was pretty general. And we'll see how that goes. Well, thank you very much for listening to me, and see you on the next episode. Bye.